So Goody, you said you were having a bad hair day.
I thought I was.
I'm combing his hair for
You look
5
like
minutes or
yeah, you look
10
like
minutes.
Jesus reincarnated.
I did comb my hair
Yeah.
today. I did comb my hair today, actually, because my mom's been getting on my ass about it. So I was like, all right, I'll start combing my hair. Fine.
At least she didn't do it for you. Or maybe she
Yeah.
did.
No. But I just went for a walk. I was wearing a hoodie. I didn't look in mirrors, man. I didn't look in the mirror, so I just assumed. And then I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh, my hair's not bad, actually.
Yeah. Very good.
Stupid logic. But
Let's
So
see
yeah,
here.
Goody, you've been doing some crispy tallow or crispy suet bits as well, haven't you? Have you been drinking your tallow shots again?
I am gonna probably bring back the tallow shots here in a couple of days. I almost did one last night. But like I said, like on the concept of the whole thing coming up on Tuesday that I have, uh, that's stores
Hmm.
and fat cells. And so I was like,
Okay.
maybe I'll hold off on that for a couple days. But
Mm.
yeah, so you get your suet, you render the suet to make tallow, and then you always have your leftover fat trimmings. And what I like to do is um so this might help you because you've actually you've kind of had like problems burning the suet in the past, right?
Yes, genuinely, 80% of the loads of tallow I've burnt. Yeah.
So what I'll do is what I'm doing now is like I have a strainer and if you put a big batch in, you're obviously going to render down some, and so then what I'll do is I'll strain out what I've already rendered, and then I'll keep doing that until I just have like
Hmm.
trimmings left. And then what I like to do with the trimmings sometimes is you strain out the trimmings and you can add like just like a splash of apple cider vinegar or something, maybe like
Yeah.
cayenne pepper, and then it's like a pretty flavorful little snack, I think.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, I'm gonna start doing, I saw the posts about people being extreme with fat and stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna start
It's
doing
you,
fat
bro.
shots. I don't think she was talking about me, but
No,
maybe.
I'm just teasing you. No, never mind.
I don't know. You never know. But
Yeah,
no,
never. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that important. But anyway, I think we kind of said what we, or I said what I thought about it. But I think what's the point? What's the point of doing something if you're not doing it? I mean, that it kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? There's a specific reason to try. There's a specific health, completely non-ideological health reason to do a strict carnivore diet.
yeah,
And if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
yeah.
If you want to have the health benefits, try it out. Do it
I
for 90 days or a month or
It
whatever you want.
works.
And
Yep.
also, it's like, how do we define strict? Because I think there's a difference between like an unattainable strict approach versus an attainable strict approach. And sometimes, like, I feel like people are pushing on unattainable things, and like it is strict at the end of the day, but you gotta like
Well,
just,
forget the word strict.
yeah,
Carnivore diet is, I think, very well defined. Eat meat. Don't eat any plant material. Don't drink any plant stuff. Don't just meat and water. That's it.
for sure.
And you can, and some people think that it's okay to have some eggs and some dairy, like me. But I'm not saying that I'm the one to define the carnivore diet. But if you want to have the maximum reset and value or benefit, don't eat eggs and don't eat dairy. Just eat meat. I mean, guys, do it for a few weeks or a month or whatever. It's not that it's not gonna hurt you to do it for a short while, and you're gonna gain some insights into what works for you and what doesn't, and that's what it's about. It's not about telling other people how to be virtuous humans. It's completely unrelated to that. This is a completely egotistical, you know, optimizing your own health kind of thing. Maybe it's not completely egotistical. If you have a family, etc., you have maybe a responsibility to be healthy. But it's not about saving the world. It's about saving you.
Yep. And we gotta show. I want to just show like different. Like I feel like it just gets like kind of linear sometimes. Where like, I mean, I've been in this I've been aware of carnivore since like 2018, and literally like 4 months ago I just started using a crock pot, and I'm just like, how did I never realize to like do this for like 3 years, you know? um so that's just what I mean when I say like attainability is like, I just think that there's very viable options out there that don't really get talked about. And then, you know, you have a certain standard, not a standard, but like there's a certain perspective. Like people will say like, well, just eat protein whenever you're hungry. And it's like, I mean, you could get into like rapid starvation. You might not be eating enough fat. Like
Yeah, but not in a month. I mean,
not
come
in a
on,
month,
guys.
not in a month, but
And I
Mhm.
think we need to distinguish between, you know, first of all, trying something out for a month, which is nothing,
yeah,
and but you can gain good insights, and then I think and the other thing is then doing it long term, and then a completely different thing is people like maybe like the three of us and a few other people who we like to do some experimentation, and you know we are willing and happy to share, you know, our egg week experiments and our other crazy ideas that we have. Those are not the point is not to encourage people to do extreme stuff. The point is to share experience and first of all maybe have some fun, gain some knowledge, and share the knowledge and encourage people to do some experimentation on their own. Maybe not the same experimentation that we do, but something that suits their lifestyle and metabolism, etc. Kind of to be open to learning, being optimistic and positive, and you know having a what you can call it, kind of a constructive and an open-minded attitude to learning. And then when something doesn't work, you know, stop doing it. Or if you think it's not going to work, don't even try it if you don't want to.
Mm.
I agree 100%.
And anyway, so we're going to start egg week on the 13th or what?
Yeah, I'll start whenever you guys are ready.
Yeah, the reason I've got my son visiting next
On the
week. So
11th. Yeah.
yeah, until yeah, he's going to be here all of next week. So maybe I prefer I prefer not only to have eggs while he's here.
Maybe when you guys do egg week, maybe that's when I'll start doing suet tallow shot week.
What do you mean, Goody? You're going to be doing egg week as well?
No, bro, I haven't had eggs in months, man. I'm not gonna just do eggs because of a challenge. Respectfully.
That's the whole point. That's a challenge, Goody.
Well, how about we do
Weed
suet
only week.
fat? We just do suet for a week and do shots of suet for a week.
Why not?
Um,
I have to get some suet somewhere, but yeah, why? I'm up for it.
That
I
bothers
think
me.
it's you know, doing it for a week, fine. It's not gonna nothing much is gonna happen. Probably have some changes in
bowel habits.
in bowel movements, but
yeah.
but I think the with the eggs are probably more complete in terms of nutrition rather than just pure fat, and
Yeah.
I think for a little bit longer term stuff, I think just living off fat is probably not sustainable. But living off eggs you can probably do for a long time. Not that that's really the point either.
For sure. Well, maybe I'll do like a beef broth or something. I just want to stick to the red meats and stuff right now. I occasionally have like whatever, but I'm just like I'm in try hard mode as fuck right now. I'm trying to drop down, and I'll probably lose weight from eggs.
For sure.
But the thing that bothers me is like I I don't. Why is it like it just bothers me that it's so hard to get something like suet in Europe? Like it just seems impossible.
It's not hard. You just go to the butchers and say, "Can I have your beef offcuts?"
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
it's not hard. It's just not something which is typically used that much. I think if you're in France or in Germany, and if you're in many of the Central and South European countries, I think you can get it very easily, and they are much more traditional in in how they cook, etc. But in my case, I'm in Finland, and Finland is nutritionally very close to the US. So most people eat processed food all the time, and they do not really cook that much. And even the stuff they prepare at home, most of that are
Microwave.
the microwave type stuff. So Finland is very Finland is not a country with a very varied and deep tradition for cooking all kinds of interesting foods.
Can you get unsalted
Basically,
butter?
it's been a very poor country for hundreds of years, while it was under Sweden and Russia, and then after 1917, when it became a nation of its own, an independent country, it has had a phenomenal positive economic development. But 100 years, just over 100 years, is not a long time to build food culture, to build whatever, all kinds of expensive and fantastic infrastructure and stuff. So
Right.
yeah.
Are you able to get like unsalted butter in Finland? I think I asked you this before.
Yeah, sure you can. These
Okay.
days you can. But typically, the type of butter that is typically eaten is salted butter. That's the same in Sweden, Norway, and Denmark as well. So the default butter is a salted butter, and the one in Finland is slightly saltier than at least in Denmark.
Got you.
But yeah, you can get unsalted butter. It's just more expensive, but
Okay.
or you can make it yourself. You can just buy cream and make your own butter.
Yeah. God. How's it at room temperature? Does it stay pretty firm at room temp?
Yeah, it does here.
Well,
It's
in
nice and
Finland,
soft.
in Finland, room temperature is 24,
Oh.
23, 24, 25 degrees centigrade, which is whatever, I don't
Yeah,
know,
right.
70
That's cold.
something. So we have fairly high in winter. That's why I'm wearing a t-shirt and I'm barefoot all the time. So it's very, very, the butter is very soft at room temperature. So
Got you.
Yeah, I don't keep mine in the fridge. I keep it out on the side, and we're about 20 degrees inside, which is nice and comfortable. But
yeah,
it just doesn't seem to go off. Just leave it out on the side, little butter dish.
Never goes bad.
Yeah, for sure. You could, if you use butter continuously, it's not going to go rancid just because you have it on the table for a couple of days. If you have it in a butter dish. I mean, I have a butter dish for the fridge, and I have one for the table. So I have soft and hard butter. I have both. So
Interesting.
yeah, I was just going to look up what. Just give me a second here.
So, what were your goals for this year, Goody?
So me and my buddy are shooting to do some races in June, and I want to do some before then. I originally was going to try to do a race here at the start of January, but with moving back to Minnesota, it was just too much stress that I underestimated. So that's why I was like, well, I might just do carnivore for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, honestly, because I kind of really want to see like the full potential of this type of diet in an endurance aspect. And I don't think that's really been showcased, to be completely honest with you. And so that's where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go 2 months at least, super hardcore, and then in June or sooner, I want to try to run like a 30, 40, 50 mile race, but not just run it. Like I want to crush one. You know what I mean? So that's the biggest goal. And right now I weigh about 100. I'd say probably like 189 pounds, 190 pounds. So I'm trying to lose like 30 pounds, 20 to 30 pounds, which is pretty ambitious. I think the last time I weighed 170 pounds, I was probably 10 years old. So pretty ambitious
You got
goals.
some big goals. Yeah, it's good big goals. Nice.
I want to do more fasting. I'm really big into fasting. I haven't done that much, and I'm starting to kind of buy into that concept of it does seem like on these types of diet like carnivore, you get more satiated for longer periods of time. It is
Mm,
easier to fast. And so I kind of want to tap into that a little bit more now that I know how to actually eat a lot of food. Whereas like I feel like fasting could potentially be a little bit detrimental, especially in for endurance athletes. If you're not able to like eat as much, if you can't replenish what you burn and then you go and fast for a day, like I think that could be detrimental. But you know, knowing how to eat copious amounts of food, like I want to tap into that more.
mm.
What about you?
And that's probably um, what's his name? Klaus, the South African professor Tim
Tim
Noakes.
Noakes.
Goody. If you haven't looked into him too much, then definitely read some of his material or watch some of his podcasts because he took this. That's what it's all about. He literally wrote the book on carb loading,
Yes.
and then he got type 2 diabetes, and then quickly changed his tone.
Yeah, Tim Noakes is the. I think he's the ultimate reference in terms of scientific understanding of both high carb and no carb diets for high performance athletes.
Yeah.
He has the information. So and there are hours and hours of lectures online with Tim explaining in intricate detail what goes on and what goes into these types of diets. There's a South African guy called Sean Sakinovsky. Sean Taco is his handle on X. He's an endurance cyclist who's been, I think he's been pure carnivore, strict carnivore for 10 years plus. He did some carb experimentation 6 months ago, in 24. And I think his conclusion was that's not really, it really isn't the way. And he's a cyclist, but he's a beast in terms
Yeah.
of endurance. So look up Sean Sacco and definitely Tim
I-
Noakes. Obviously, they also know each other. But
I've looked up Sean before. I've seen what he eats in a
yeah,
day. I question if that's the peak of this type of dieting, and I really don't think it is, respectfully.
yeah, who
So
knows?
that's what I mean when it's like I've done that
S-
type of approach in this type of stuff, and I'm trying to take it one step further. I've done it where you eat butter and
Talk to Tim
ground.
Noakes.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah. Tim Noakes is that, yeah. He's definitely the cream of the
Talk to
crop.
Tim Noakes, and I don't think you can. I don't know any better authority
Mm,
on these on the anything from a very high carb to a no carb diet in connection with the top performance sports and athletics and endurance and everything. So
Yeah.
he really has he wrote the books on all of this
Yeah,
and
I'm
did all the
familiar with
studies
him.
as well. And
so I think
he's been involved in recent studies as well. So
there's
he's
a common sort of denominator with Tim Noakes and with Amber O'Hearn. So we've had Amber O'Hearn on, and she talks about how she sees things in more of a light of a lipidivore. So obviously she's not saying no to protein. She's just saying that there's more of an emphasis on fat. And when you hear Tim Noakes discussing it, he says high fat, high protein. He always emphasizes that fat comes sort of first within ratio. So yeah, maybe we should try and get Tim Noakes on and see if we can discuss the sort of sports endurance athlete side of things because I know he's done a few fasted marathons as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to detail and understand his strategy when it comes to that.
it would indeed
Um,
be incredibly interesting to have him on. That's for sure. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah,
and
I've seen the notions too of like the lower protein, and I agree more with what Noakes is saying. Like I think it's not why you have your ratio, but I think it's more high protein, high fat, not necessarily high fat, low protein, which a lot of people seem to be pushing these days. Um, what do you guys think about that?
I don't think I have a difficulty on this, seeing that a low protein approach would be a good idea.
Me too.
But I, but what does that mean? Low is not an absolute. It's not even a ratio. It's not a number. It's nothing.
No.
So
And
I think we need to be it. In order to have a serious discussion, we probably need to both prepare ourselves. We need to have look into it, and we need to be specific about what we talk about. And
Yeah.
yeah, because it's easy to forget we're on a live stream. We are just spitballing at the moment.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the other thing is we say low protein. We don't mean it's low protein. We just mean, because obviously that's still going to be higher than the national guidelines. If you see what I mean, if you're eating mainly meat or animal based produce, is always going to be higher than what they recommend.
Yeah, I think
Let's save it.
if you just speculate for a few moments, and anyway, if anyone's listening, if you really want to, if you want to know the absolutes of this, look up Professor Tim Noakes, and I think when we're talking about high protein or low protein, I think maybe the question is about whether the protein to fat ratio is one that lets you stay in ketosis or doesn't let you stay in ketosis. And if you have a very high protein to fat ratio, then you are unlikely to be in ketosis all the time, or much of the time, maybe depending on how many meals you have, of course. But I'm just thinking, Goody, with your point of being able to tank, to get enough, to consume enough food to cover the needs. One meal a day might not be the optimal way of doing it. It might be more optimal to do 2 meals, or maybe even 3 meals,
Yeah, a
or
window.
4 meals, or whatever. But to spread it out so that you can eat enough. And then if you have an extremely high protein and a very low fat content, you're definitely not going to be in ketosis, maybe at all. But that's something that would be very nice to discuss with Tim Noakes, or some of the other people who are very knowledgeable about this. And there are, by the way, other very knowledgeable physicians and scientists that we I think should set as a goal maybe to talk to in 2025. And I think for the guys, sorry to rant on here, but anyway, I'll stop in
No, you're
2
fine.
seconds. For those of you who are listening, what we're gonna do, we're gonna come back with a number of podcasts with various kinds of people. But one of the focus areas we have is high performance sports and high performance exercise. So we're going to be talking to a number of sports people, whether endurance or otherwise. We talked to 2 already, one endurance runner and one UFC fighter, and we're going to continue that in 2025 as one of the segments that we want to cover, and then we want to add the nutrition scientific perspective as well. So that's why we're trying fishing a little bit for getting Tim Noakes and several of the other high or maybe not so high profile as Tim Noakes, but some of the high profile people in our space, whether it's about ketosis or other things.
Yep. 100%.
So that we can get Goody to be the world champion in his chosen endurance field. That's the.
Be the fastest
the
runner. Yeah, no.
With no carbs, or with the appropriate amount of carbs. Who knows? Maybe he needs a few carbs. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, right? Is like that's where my approach is a lot different than like your buddy Sean, for example. Like he's a big salt guy. I don't use salt at all.
True.
So it's like we're in the same realm, but like we have completely different approaches. And
yeah, and possibly you for physiological reasons you need to have different approaches. So
yeah,
there might be good reasons why you can't use the exact same approaches as he does. Also, I think endurance cycling and endurance running, it's probably a little bit different, but I'm not an expert.
I have a theory, and if anybody is listening to this, shoot me a comment if I'm wrong on this, but like I haven't met many people that are consuming large amounts of fat. I mean, aside from like ribeyes, like I haven't met many people that are eating large amounts of fat, like pemmican and doing suet tallow shots that are
Mm.
consuming salt. That's the thing. So I kind of feel like
Right.
salt kind of hinders your ability to eat copious amounts of fat. And so like,
Maybe.
like you look at Sean, he's using butter. That it just seems like a little bit different than something like suet tallow. And like you were just saying, the circumstances are different. Like me with suet, if I have salt, like it just like the whole stereotype of the loose stools and stuff like that comes into
Yes.
play. But without it,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen at all. So
Exactly.
that's my theory, is like I'm really kind of putting stake into the salt-free thing because I think this is going to enable me to eat more fat, and that's going to be a big differentiator in endurance level sports. That's my theory.
Yes, and good theory to test for sure.
Exactly. And the truth is like you can't test these in 1 month. You really have to do them for
No.
2 to 3 months, or else like it's
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe even longer. Probably even longer periods are probably uh, better for that even. But
We've had
as,
someone
as
ask a question. If you're having digestive constipation problems, eating a good amount of fat with your protein and clean carnivore, and then they said, what are some suggestions? So if I understand the question correctly, are you saying that if you're having some constipation issues, what would you recommend on the carnivore diet? Is that correct? It's just worded a bit strange.
is that on low carb logic? I can't see it.
It's on Klaus's one, but you need to click on Klaus's profile and then scroll down to the post, and then you see it's on there.
okay, I didn't even see it.
Just drink plenty of fluids.
Yeah, fluids, and then maybe up your fat intake. I think that's at least the standard advice that I hear most of the time. If people are constipated, up your fats.
Yeah, constipation. Is it a matter of do you feel bloated, or is it like I've gone days without using the bathroom, but I feel fine? Because I know what's his
Yeah,
face.
neither of
Yeah,
those are
yeah, yeah,
constipation
yeah, yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah. So this was what me and Klaus were talking about the other day. If it's just the fact that you haven't had a bowel movement, then it's not constipation. Whereas obviously, if you feel like there's something there and you really need to go, but you can't physically get it out, then that is constipation.
That's constipation. I think that you will definitely, if you've never been constipated and you get constipation, there is absolutely no doubt what it is.
Yeah.
There is absolutely zero doubt what
I've had it
constipation is.
once,
If
and
if you
it's
have
fucking
any
horrible.
doubt,
Decade.
if you're not quite sure, it's probably not constipation. It's probably just you change your diet, and therefore the through time has changed. I mean, when I changed to ketogenic back in 2019, instead of going once a day, for 2-3 months, I went once a week.
That's crazy.
No constipation, but that's what happened, and then it kind of returned to normal. And then when I switched to pure carnivore, which just so I left out the few bits of cabbage that I ate. So basically a zero fiber diet, just meat and eggs.
Yep.
The I still went mostly once a day, but it's like there is almost nothing. So because it's so the body can use everything, and there's nothing that needs to be excreted. So
that's literally it. Because I don't have a colon, so I've kind of looked into digestion before, and like
yes.
if you read the rhetoric, I literally read this on the University of Hawaii's nutrition textbook. It says that fats and proteins are entirely digested in your smaller intestine, whereas like most of a carbohydrate is digested in the small intestine. So if you've completely reduced out carbohydrates and you're just eating fats and proteins, and you're eating pure fats and proteins that are like, good sources of those, there's a chance that a lot of that is simply just being absorbed by your body. Your colon is 6 feet
Mm.
long. So if you have a 6 foot organ that's ready to process stool and this and that, but there's like barely anything coming in, that's totally going to delay your bowel movements, uh, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's not constipation, but
No.
if you are curious about constipation and really want to get it, get an iron supplement, and take an iron supplement for a week, and you will see what hell it is.
Oh, iron
Maybe you
supplement.
don't even need a week.
Mhm.
What does that do?
Well, you get crazy
Constipated, yeah.
constipated by if you take iron supplements.
Oh, interesting. Is this because it thickens the blood and just like slows
I don't
shit
know
down?
why,
Or...
but
It's not
it
really
happens.
absorbed that well compared to heme iron. So most of
Yeah,
it passes through, but it obviously because it's like ferrous iron, so it's just like iron shavings basically.
yeah.
And
I'm
you can get
not
the ferritin
encouraging
as well.
anyone to do it.
No,
Yeah,
no, no.
don't do it. Don't take those supplements unless you have an emergency situation with your iron
Mm.
levels. Just don't do it. It's not
And
worth
you'd
the.
probably get like a ferritin transfusion at that point if there was an emergency anyway.
Yeah, it's not worth the pain in
Rectum.
the ass. Yeah,
Ooh.
Yeah.
and that's
I,
what you're gonna get.
I could say too, like, someone without a colon that, I've eaten like wild rice and stuff in the past, and that digests fine, but like definitely have seen a decrease in bowel movements on this way of dieting, and it's only been
Mm.
1 week. So
And I suppose that's quite good for you
it
because
is.
it's not like you're not having to think, oh, what is this? I better run and check. You just sort of get a few more hours out of the
Yeah.
day, maybe.
Certain carbs, certain fibers, carbs like masa flour, wild rice. If I'm doing like a low fat diet, what will happen is it actually does a pretty good job of like delaying the bowel movement. But then when the bowel movement comes, there's more than what I do currently. So like this
Hmm.
form is both. It's less bowel movements, and then the bowel movement itself is less as well. So it's just more beneficial. I don't- you
Hmm.
know, I'm not necessarily against certain carbohydrates, but I do think that this way of eating is advantageous, especially if you have irritable bowel syndrome or if you're going through a flare up. That's what I tell people because it's really hard to convince someone to go on a carnivore diet. But if I tell them
Yeah.
just go on a carnivore diet during your flare up, I think that's a good starting point as well.
Hmm.
It's like what you were
That's
saying,
good
Klaus.
advice.
Like, you're not going to die in a month of eating something.
Mm.
Yeah. At worst, if you let's say you wanted to, let's say for us carnivores, if we wanted to try a vegan diet, the only thing that's going to happen if we go vegan for a month is we're going to get constipated, and it's going to be unpleasant. But you know, we're not gonna die, are we? So
Yeah, I mean, when I was in when I was so I got laid off in fucking start of September, and like when I was in Chicago before I moved, like there was a moment where I was like pretty low on money, and I was literally eating like squash and beans and a little bit of
Mm.
dietary experimenting, like just a little bit of like animal meat as well, and like just sodium levels got extremely low, did not feel very well. It's dangerous. So.
yeah, maybe it could be. I think there's other, you know, it's a little bit difficult and dangerous to make generalizations across all kinds of things. I mean, both in terms of what fits the hormonal profile of what age of women and what age of men, and what kind of pathologies did you have, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you're a young guy, relatively young guy, a goodie, and so you have your digestive issues, but you're still a young guy, so your absorption
Yeah.
mechanism is probably much more effective than mine. I mean, I'm more than twice as old as you, so probably I'm very ineffective. So I shouldn't eat beans.
Yeah, who knows, man? The
Yeah,
one thing
who
too is
knows?
like just to go back on the protein topic real quick of animal meats. If you need some historical evidence, and maybe this won't be convincing for a lot of people, but like if you look at old world ancient societies and you look at the royalty across the globe, fucking anywhere, they're all eating animal protein. I mean, the royalty of Aztec Empire, the royalty of ancient Egypt, they're all eating animal meat. And maybe their people are eating more of the agricultural things, but like there's a it's not just coincidental that these types of foods are sought after. They're not stupid people. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look back, like when our brains were biggest during the Paleolithic era, right? And probably eating a lot more meat back then.
Mm.
Yeah, probably.
So, and that was a point I wanted to kind of bring up too, where is like this whole protein thing. Like we can only digest so much protein and stuff, but like for me, like I kind of look at it from a mineral perspective too, because it's like if you're not eating carbs, you probably want to get enough sodium, you probably want to get enough potassium, you probably want to get enough magnesium, like the three main minerals. But if you're only eating 30 grams of protein a day, how are you gonna even come close to that? So, fat's important, but protein is equally as important, in my opinion. So
I'm just putting the link
Definitely.
out here again. Just let's see if we can get someone to join. They need to go on Chrome. That's probably the issue. Maybe I don't know.
Oh, to jump onto the live stream. Let's see if it works. So anybody that is listening,
Who's on Chrome?
where are you? Who's on Chrome? Like Google
Yeah, I just
Chrome.
posted it on my own profile here. So
Cool. Let's see if it works. If you go to Klaus's profile, and this night shift is literally just hit me square in the face, and my eyes have started going blurry.
Nice. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know the feeling. That's what I felt like yesterday.
Yeah, it's nuts.
what the heck?
It wasn't even busy last night. That's what done it, because you have to sort of stay awake. So
Yeah, dude, are you tired? You pulled an all nighter last night or something, didn't you?
yeah, really tired. Yeah, I slept from about 8 until 11:30, but it's not enough.
Yeah, if people don't know James, he's in the medical industry and he works. You work in like urgent care and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
So
we do outpatient, and A&E and inpatient CT, MRI scans.
Yeah. So he was working all night last night.
Yeah, you see some crazy stuff, but last night it was just a very sleepy day, night.
Some of the
That's
stuff
worse,
you
isn't
say.
it?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know.
James knows everything about other people's constipation.
Well, that's what I was interesting.
That's so the last job it's called an advanced practitioner in the GI tract. So from lips to anus, it was my job to learn it and understand how it works. And it was a bit of an eye opener to see the sheer amount of diverticular disease, diverticulosis, diverticulitis. It's so prevalent. Colorectal cancers is way more common than you think. So that sort of sparked my interest at the start, looking into like the pH of your stomach, acid, etc. So it's just like putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and that's where I sort of ended up. And at that point in time, I was probably 21 stone, but then fast forward, what is it now? I don't know.
So is this kind of like your
background?
But you're trying to figure out, like, you're 21 stone, you're trying to figure some shit out, and then you start to see all this stuff. Did it kind of open up your mind a little bit?
Yeah, it did, and that's when I first heard of the carnivore diet. But it wasn't until, when was it? Not this August just gone, but the one before, I pulled the trigger, because it just seemed that there was ample amounts of information out there, basically. Yeah. And Klaus was one of the first accounts. At the time. Yeah, at the time I had like 20 followers, and Klaus still replied to me, so I sort of thought, yeah, top bloke.
I had a similar Twitter journey. And it's funny, James, like, you really do know your shit, because Like I was kind of cracking up when you messaged that guy in the United Kingdom, that low carb guy, and most people it's like Goody doesn't have a colon, and you're like Goody had a colectomy. I'm like, wow, you really know the language.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was
Yeah,
funny.
because so this sweeping statement that someone doesn't have a colon is a bit extreme. Yeah, you probably wouldn't live too long if you had 0 colon. Yeah, you've got
Is
no
that
large colon.
so? The colon is like the entire, like
Yeah,
the
so
small
you got the
intestine.
large and the small colon. Yeah, but you can say large or small intestine. There's all sorts of different ways you can say the same thing.
Oh, shit.
Semicolon.
Yeah, there's a semicolon.
I always thought the large intestine was just the colon. I didn't realize the small intestine was the colon too. No wonder people get all freaked out when I tell them I don't have a colon.
Yeah,
Fuck.
don't have a large colon.
Don't worry about it.
Well, I have to
Well,
fix that
yeah,
one.
or you can say this. What? Yeah, it's intestine or small intestine, large colon.
Number one
But it's
question I get
all.
is how do you shit?
But this.
Yeah, go in
So
the toilet.
yeah,
I
how does
suppose.
shit? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could think it's like the ileum is the small bowel, and you could say so like the end of the small bowel is the terminal ileum, which goes to the cecum, which is the start of the large colon. And then it's interesting to see. I'll try and get some images anonymized so I can actually share them. But with the CT colonoscopies, you basically inflate the colon with CO2. So if you imagine on a CT scan, you've got a colon which is all closed and it's looping around. It's all on a grey picture. You can't see what's going on. Whereas if you inflate that with air, literally like this, you can see black throughout the colon. So then if there's a little cancer, can you see that like my finger through my hand?
Yes.
You'll see a little lump like this, and then you'll look into it. It could be a polyp, it could be, and then you say what sort of polyp is it? Is it and then you have to categorize the polyp, and then you can send them to have it removed or those sorts of things.
So
But
do you inflate it from? So you stick a pump in the behind and inflate it like that.
Wow.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, it's like attached to a CO2 canister, and it's like a catheter, which is
Soda
about
stream.
basically it is, but they
Fucking
probably
hate
cost
those
about
things.
100,000 times more. But
And it's made of
it's
plastic.
it's rubber, like silicon, and it's small. It's like the size of a Bic pen, like a ballpoint pen. That's all it
It
is.
can fit in your penis.
Nice.
At
I
least
don't know. I
I've
haven't
had a
tried it,
cat.
Goody.
I have. I didn't get a warning, but on my first surgery, because like
Oh, you had a catheter. Yeah. Sorry, mate. I thought you were just sticking pens up your Jap's eye.
Don't do that.
I got PTSD, bro. I can almost feel it.
Yeah.
Because like my first surgery.
Yeah,
You go ahead.
I've had to do urograms or urethrograms on a lot of blokes as well, which is up that end.
Damn, you don't put them in, do you?
Not anymore. Not with this job.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Wow, that's some major balls, bro. I'd buy you a drink if I saw you.
Yeah, and think and consider this. You know, he went from working with his steel 800 series chainsaw down to doing this.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
Can
I come out of
trust you?
school. Yeah. Well, I came out of school with one GCSE, and that was in like woodwork resistant materials. So I had to. I had sort of 1 year where I was like, right, I need to go to university and just better the outlook of life and sort of open up some avenues. And the tutor said, you need your English, you need your maths, and you need this science access course. I'd suggest doing the GCSEs 1 year and then the science access the next. And I said, is there any way that you would let me do all three? And she said, yes, but you will fail. and that was like a red rag to a bull. I was just like, right, let's fucking do it. And
Good
I
stuff.
was working, yeah. So there was 3 years of my life where I would do work, so work and then night school, um, and college throughout the day for 12 days in a row, and then I'd have 2 days off. 12 days in a row, 2 days off. 12 days in a row, 2 days off.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and I think it was at that point that's when I started ballooning up in weight again because I was in good shape prior to that when I was a tree
Hmm.
surgeon.
Well, how crazy is
Um,
that? How many people are just gain weight just because they're stressed out in life, you know?
yeah, it was pretty nuts. I wouldn't recommend it, but then I would because you find out a lot about yourself.
That's for sure.
It's good to test the boundaries. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
sometimes, and yeah, if you survive it, it's good stuff.
Mm. But now I'm definitely focused on like family and health now and for the foreseeable. Yeah.
Yeah, it almost seems, I was kind of talking to Lars a little bit. I mean, I wasn't really having a conversation about this. It was more like side combo within a combo, but just like it almost seems like human nature to like have a family and do all that stuff. Almost. I mean, it is human nature, right? We've been doing that since the
Mm.
beginning of
Well,
time.
yes,
Uh,
it's at least human nature to multiply.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, no, I was just gonna say I had a bad experience with, not a bad experience, but when I first had also, well, my ulcerative colitis had gotten super bad. I lost 45 pounds in a month. Nothing was
Crazy.
working. I don't eat salt, but like the only thing I was eating that would literally like not make me run to the bathroom was bacon and eggs. I would just eat bacon all day. And
Mm.
the doctor said, "Well, we can take out your colon and you'll have all your problems fixed." And my 14-year-old self was like, "Solve my problems, bro."
Yeah,
So,
Mm.
do
I
it.
just went into the surgery, had no idea what was going to go down. I had this major surgery, had my colon removed. You wake up in a hospital bed in Mayo Clinic, you got all this stuff, blankets and shit covering you up. I try to move, and then all of a sudden I felt like a tug, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And then oh yeah, we had to put a catheter in because you had this major surgery, and I was like high on drugs, and I was like, "What is this, Dad? Like, what is in this? What is in my dick right now?" Like, oh man. And they used to threaten me too. They'd be like, "Oh, if you don't eat your food, like we're gonna put the catheter back in." And if you don't know, they actually put the catheter in while you're awake. And I'm like, "Bring me a fucking some Ritz crackers right now." Like, oh
Mm.
yeah, good times, man, good times.
So in retrospect, Goody, do you think you would if that was happening now, would you say the same thing or would you try and go bacon and eggs? Like if you see what I mean? Like if that happened, if you had a large colon now and then you
Mhm.
had the same symptoms, would do you think it would go the same route?
Um, well, I think that I kind of learned that in that instance, like, yeah, the bacon and eggs was effective, but I probably wouldn't. I think I would fast a little bit more. I think I would do
Mm.
more beef broth and then just stick with like that type of stuff. And then as I'm starting to get better, it would be a longer thing because the way it was for
Yeah.
me, it was like the moment I get out of a flare up or the moment I get a new medication and then I get out of, back in remission, then I would just revert right back to my shitty diet. So I never knew anything about carnivore or low carb or anything until,
Yeah.
I mean, it was like I had my colon removed, and then this was sophomore year of high school, and then you're living at home, so you don't really have to like live with the consequences of running to the bathroom all the time. And also I didn't know anything. I just thought this is my new normal. Like I'm going to the bathroom all
Mm.
the time. And then as I started to like get better with dieting and nutrition, I had learned, I was like, that's bullshit. That's not the new normal. And but yeah, to answer your question, like kind of the same, but I would have did it better is what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
Yeah. I,
That's good insight.
I'm acquainted with a guy who is in the situation of I think soon they're going to take out his large intestine, and even though he does know that there are dietary ways to approach it, the
Yeah.
attitude is that I'm never going to give up my muesli. I'm never going to give up my oat milk. I'm never going to give up my
It's
whatever
retarded.
it is. All the things that gives him all the flare ups and
It's terrible.
makes his life hell. He's not willing to give it up. He'd rather lose his large intestine and not give up the junk, which
Oh yeah.
is
I'm
sad.
on Reddit on I recently was like unbanned, but I used to be on Reddit on this r/j pouch community, and like J
You were
pouch is,
banned
yeah, I got fucking banned for some stupid
from
shit
that, or just from Reddit.
from Reddit altogether.
Yeah, not specifically from your J pouch.
No, from the
Oh,
entire
okay, okay,
fucking app.
okay.
But the surgery I had is called the J pouch surgery, and the 3-step J pouch surgery. And I try to talk to people all the time, like, yo, dude, like try this out. Like this is a major surgery. Like even if you want to keep eating the foods that you're eating, if you have this surgery, you're not gonna be able to eat those foods in the same way that you think you are. So like you should do this now so you don't have to lose 6 feet of your intestines. It's
Mm,
almost like they're delusional. Like I hate to say it, but like
Mm.
people are
yeah,
delusional. Like they would, exactly like you say, lose 6 feet, then give up oat milk for a month, which is
yeah, it's
just,
crazy.
it's crazy.
But it's like I suppose there's some kind of, maybe there's an emotional comfort in trying to be oblivious.
Well, yeah, I think so, but also like
There is, yeah.
I
There's
had
got to
to,
be.
for me, like I have to tell myself, like I have to remind myself just how oblivious I was, and like not realizing things, and like I literally like learned everything I know just from experience. Like I don't really read too much scientific stuff. Like it's all just trial and error experience, and like I've learned a lot. But like, dude, it's been 11 years. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah,
So
sure.
like
Mm.
some dude that's never had to think about this, and he's just been leaning on doctors prescribing him medications, and he thinks that it's hereditary and there's nothing he can do. Like it's like tough.
Yeah, it's interesting that we are so ready to believe in authority, even though that authority hasn't necessarily ever proven itself.
Mm.
No.
Yeah, no, I'm not. This was not an an indirect jab at the complete medical establishment. I have I have a tremendous respect for many physicians, obviously. So that's not the point. But I think there is kind of uh, we've been well taught that there are systems that we just need to trust, and that's also more comfortable for us, that we don't need to take responsibility for doing our own research and for finding out what's up. Whereas the truth is that's what we need to do,
Mm.
regardless what the system tries to tell us what to do. So
Yeah.
we do better if we take the time to understand what goes on. And I think obviously nutrition is so absolutely central to everything that we do to our lives, or what happens in our lives, and everything, that it really needs to be in a completely different position in people's lives and in their minds as well, and there just needs to be a complete uh, overhaul of understanding of these things. Of course, much of the understanding is also new, so nobody really, we talked about Tim Noakes before, who is as far as I can tell, extremely well-meaning and a very, very intelligent and well-meaning guy, and he also thought that the right thing is loads of carbohydrates, etc., etc. So
Yeah.
much of the stuff that we know now is in fact relatively new, especially in terms of human history. So
And you have the people that I hate to say this, maybe you might disagree with me on this, but like you hear that quote of like, you don't live to eat, you eat to live. And like I'm almost to this point where it's like we do live to eat. Like look at every single animal in nature, their whole entire life is eating food. Like people go to freaking Italy to eat pasta and go to the cathedral. So it's like at the end of the day, like you have to accept that like what you put inside of you really is like gonna affect every aspect of your life. We do kind of in a way like live to eat, but like that doesn't mean go and eat a bunch of shit. So
Well, I think that's definitely one of the challenges is that because eating is such a central thing to survival, and definitely true that if you take any animal, anyone who has pets or of any kind and size, everybody knows how all animals love their food, and
mm,
and I think the problem for humans is just that we're just a little bit too clever, but not clever enough. So we can
it's
develop
crazy.
all kinds of crap that we put down our gullet, which is bad for us. But it's interesting if you have I have some rabbits here. Try feeding a rabbit bacon. Not going to happen.
It's
They
fascinating.
they know what not to eat. At least mostly. They'll eat banana, which is not good for them either. But yeah.
Yeah. I think
Nice.
I think
Guys, I'm
yeah.
I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna get ready
Yeah.
for work tomorrow.
We've
You
been
need
going
to
for a
go
while,
to
so we
sleep.
can probably wrap this up.
Yeah, I'll try and
Yes,
get
we
in
can. And
contact
then
with.
let's do a. Anyway, we have on Thursday. We might do it live, or what we could do it live with uh, Carnivore Granny.
Yep.
It's Thursday
Sounds good.
night our time, and let's see. Maybe we can.
Yeah,
Maybe we put in an episode of general chat in the meantime. But let's see. We'll come back.
awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay,
All
right.
right,
I'll
guys.
catch you later. Thank you.
Catch you later.
Good
Take
talking,
care.
guys.